Hey guys, Buff Game Bad today, bringing a video for our weapon conversion series here on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody, or happy Bulksgiving. I am a full 10 to 12 pounds heavier than I was this morning before recording this video. So here we are now. We are 10 to 12 pounds heavier, and we have a beautiful ACR and 300 Blackout conversion for you guys here today. So let's go ahead now. We'll break down this weapon, get into it, build it up from scratch, show you how it handles in game with the recoil and the fire controls in the firing range, and then see how it handles in game against bots. So we'll go ahead and back out. Here's our final design for the ACR with the 300 Blackout conversion kit for the Bushmaster ACR. Supposed to be in real life, we'll get into it, supposed to be available for the Remington ACR, but they never delivered. Part of why this weapon, one of the many reasons this weapon failed. However, there is new life with it with Franklin Armament Company, potentially bringing this thing back here in 2023, 2024. So go ahead and back out. What we'll do is go to the base MCW or the ACR here in Modern Warfare 3 for the assault rifles. Go ahead and select this, the MCW or the base Bushmaster ACR or Remington ACR. Go ahead and select this weapon. Go to the gunsmith. Now the first thing you're going to need, here it's chambered in the Remington ACR 5.56 by 45 NATO. So we're going to want the conversion kit. So the Jack Raven conversion kit is going to convert this to the 300 Blackout conversion kit. So versatile and modular, this 300 conversion for the MCW can be adapted to hard-hitting nearly every combat scenario. So this is going to give us hip fire, tank stance, spread, mobility and handling, and rate of fire for pros. Cons are recoil control, bullet velocity and range, and damage and range. So look at the detailed stats here. You can see how the recoil is affected there, as well as the mobility goes up a lot more because you have a more compact design here, especially with the buttstock that comes with it. And then you're increasing the rate of fire by 12% up to 800 rounds per minute versus what it is at base with the ACR is 714 rounds per minute. So full increase there up to 800 rounds per minute from 714. Pretty nice looking conversion. Go ahead and select that. So here we go to build this thing up. What we're going to do for this build, the good thing about the ACR or the Adaptive Combat Rifle is it is a modular assault rifle that can be adaptable to many different engagement scenarios, hence all the conversion kits in real life for this. So what we're going to do for this one is they don't have the actual ACR stock available for the ACR. So for this one, especially because 300 Blackout's more of a PDW type caliber, we're going to go ahead and do the A90 Venom stock. This is going to give us the aim walking speed, movement speed, sprint to fire speed, and the cons are aiming stability, or excuse me, aiming idle sway, and gun kick control. But you can see our recoil, the stocks when the conversion kits actually help your recoil control. Pretty much every single one of them. The best one here is the Bengal Heavy stock. However, for this one, we're going to go with A90 Venom. So we'll go ahead and throw that on. For the rear grip, we're going to leave that at base. Magazine attachment, you have a 20 round available or a 40 round available for the 300 Blackout. I want to stay with the base 30 round windowed PMag. Ammunition, you have all your 300 Blackout rounds available, as well as the new rounds from Modern Warfare 3, like the high grain rounds, low grain rounds, round nose, Blackout mono. So you have a lot of options there, which is great to see. Underbarrel option, we're going to go ahead and go with the Bruin tilt grip. Again, this is more of your personal preference, what kind of underbarrel you want. You have a pick rail there, so really, theoretically, anything can go on this weapon. Go ahead and throw on the Bruin tilt grip. Going to give us aim, walking steadiness, hip fire attack stance, as well as cons being hip walking spread. So go ahead and put that on. And hip walking speed, excuse me, is the con there. Muzzle, 300 Blackout, you're typically, this is really a round you want to, it's a heavy round, you want to fire it typically with a suppressor. Now, 300 Blackout is a round that's comparable to the Russian 7.62 by 39 cartridge. It's kind of its cousin, essentially. So you're going to want a 7.62 or a 30 caliber can on this thing or a suppressor. So we're going to go with the Echoless 80. Going through these, you got to kind of look and see which suppressor would be available only for the 7.62 rifles in Modern Warfare 2. Here they kind of mix and match them, which is fine. But a couple of these were only available for the 30 cals in Modern Warfare 2. One of these being the Echoless 80. So this is a 30 caliber can. We're going to go ahead and put this on undetectable by radar. Bullet velocity and firing aim stability is our pro. Cons are aiming idle sway, aim down sight speed, and damage range. So we'll go ahead and put that on. And then our final attachment here for the optic, again, this is more so your personal preference. You have a Picatinny rail there. Theoretically, anything can go on it. We're going to go with this Trijicon red dot here for the precision sight picture. We'll go ahead and throw that on. And then camo-wise, we're going to... You have the camo here at base is essentially a black, but you have a weird pattern on that 3D type printed part that they do. So you could go with an all black. Definitely a really nice viable option. In terms of ACR, we're going to go with the clay because everyone likes that tan colored ACR. We'll go with clay. And this is our final design for the Bushmaster ACR chambered in 300 Blackout. Really nice looking weapon here. Now again, in real life, Bushmaster actually only produced the civilian semi-automatic only variant of this weapon. Remington was in charge of producing the law enforcement and military variants of the ACR. Those were supposed to, Remington was supposed to deliver the conversion kits for 300 Blackout, 6.8, 450, all of those ones, 762x39. They never did any of them. So Bushmaster stepped up and took care of that for the civilian market. Never was delivered by Remington. One of the many reasons this weapon failed, as well as Remington eventually went under. But it was purchased by Franklin Armory, so they did get the rights to the ACR, so supposedly we're going to get that back. Now again, with this weapon, you have a barrel length. If you look at the Bushmaster ACRs, typically they're available in 16-inch, 16.5, or shorter barrel variant, or longer barrel variant. So you really don't have, I think here in game, you have probably, again, it's not labeled, many of these barrels besides this one at 16.5, so I'm going to assume this is probably a 12 or a 10. Again, it's hard to tell. However, you do have an acceptable handguard. This being an adaptive combat rifle, ACR, a modular rifle. To convert this weapon, you would just need a new barrel and the the firing pin. So really, any handguard could go on this. So it's just the barrel is not part of the handguard that we're seeing. So handguards, you could do with any of these. This is probably, we're going to say, a 12-inch barrel, or potentially a 10.5 at base. Here's your 16.5. This is definitely a very good realistic option as well. However, I don't like the way the handguard is exposing the gas tube there and the gas block, so that just doesn't look good to me. Other good options here you have are these two. You have the Black Iron heavy short barrel, and you have the Mammoth heavy barrel. Again, these are good Bushmaster style handguards or aftermarket handguards that you see in real life for the most part, as well as this 16.5 one. However, I just don't like how the handguard is a little bit shorter than the gas block. So we're going to go with the base, what appears to be probably a 10.5-ish, we're going to say here. Definitely an acceptable option here. This is our Bushmaster ACR conversion kit, chambered in 300 Blackout. Same old ACR. You have the completely ambidextrous fire controls here. So you have the select fire options here on the left and the right hand side above the pistol grip. You have the bolt release and the magazine release on the left and the right hand side. And then you have the ejection port on the right hand side. And the completely ambidextrous charging handle you see there, it is configured for both sides. They're very similar to, they took a lot of inspiration from G36s, things like that. A lot of weapons that were being done at the time, and they made this one completely ambidextrous all across the board. So really nice looking weapon. The barrel here, or the handguard, is M-Lock handguard. You have full pick rail across the top receiver, or the top rail there. And then you have M-Lock handguards, so you have a pick rail on the left-hand side, you have a pick rail on the right-hand side, and you have a pick rail put into the M-Locks there on the 6 o'clock of the rifle. So this is our Bushmaster ACR chambered in 300 Blackout. Let's go ahead now, back out, and we'll jump into the firing range with this weapon. So here it is, the Bushmaster ACR chambered in 300 Blackout conversion kit for the ACR, originally in 5.56 by 45 here in game. See how it fires. So again, a pretty fast firing weapon. You're coming in at 800 rounds per minute here. And the recoil, this is not the best configured recoil controls for sure. I've come up with some really nice builds that we're going to be saving for a Warzone, favorite weapon series like that. You can make this thing extremely controllable and probably stretch it out a little bit longer here. But however, in real life, 300 Blackout is a heavier round. It's made for more close quarters, typically. So this is what we're going to see. You have subsonic and supers. They don't describe which one it is here in game with the 300 Blackout round. and the noise from the 300 Blackouts versus the 5.56 is always the same. So I tested that with and without a suppressor. It doesn't change. Controlling it here without letting the recoil go without control, you can see it's going to go up and to the right. Let's try and control it here. Going to need to pull down to the left slightly. Try it again. So there's a point there it's going to level off. You can see like right here it's going to level off, and right here it's going to level off. So you really just kind of need to see it. You can kind of see where it's doing it there. But again, these are all center mass shots. The Bushmaster ACR and 300 Blackout, faster rate of fire for sure, which makes it a little bit more difficult to control. And you, like I said, you can configure this to make it much better to control in real life. Go ahead and back out, take a look at the camouflages for this weapon really fast. You have the Razor Feather, which is actually pretty cool looking, honestly. That one looks pretty nice. These other ones are so-so. I do like this Abyssal Fox, however we're going to say that. It's pretty cool. And these other zombie ones, not the biggest fans. But again, a couple of these are pretty nice. And then you obviously have so many other camouflages you can put on this. So let's go ahead now, and we'll jump into the gameplay here with our Bushmaster ACR chambered in 300 Blackout. Again, we're just trying to play more of a close quarters style gameplay here. So trying to use it close quarters. Really where this round thrives is as a personal defense weapon, close quarters type scenarios, because it is a heavier round. And again, unfortunately, they don't describe here in game whether or not this is subsonic or super. However, you don't hear any difference in the round, so it's really hard to say. I remember in Modern Warfare 2019, they described, you had subsonic rounds for the M13, and I think it's the same for some of the 300 Blackout conversions or weapons in Modern Warfare 2. You can hear the difference when firing. Here, there is no audible difference besides the fire rate increase or decrease based on the conversion, and that's it. But again, to unlock that conversion, you just need to level up the weapon all the way, and there is a challenge that you need to do for the challenges to unlock the aftermarket part, or extract with it from zombies, get it from a buddy or somewhere in zombies, and you can unlock it that way. Also, there's also the daily challenges for the aftermarket parts for zombies, which in some cases may even be easier. So our ACR, Adaptive Combat Rifle, developed by Bushmaster and Remington, originally developed by Magpul as the Magpul Masada, sold to Remington and Bushmaster to distribute, the Remington being the military and law enforcement production, and Bushmaster being the civilian production. It's been produced from 2010 through 2020 when Remington went under and was eventually broken up and sold. Like I said earlier in the video, the rights to the ACR were sold to Franklin Armory, so they have said that they're probably going to be bringing this thing back at some point, which I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Potentially go back to the original Magpul Masada design, and this weapon could have been the next replacement for the M4, honestly. Just so many mistakes were made across the way. Really what it comes down to is Magpul sold it to the wrong company, and just a lot of mistakes unfortunately happened with this weapon, which caused it to eventually not be adopted and just not really become that well-known of a rifle. It was surpassed by a lot of other rifles after the fact. So this weapon, multiple different variants. The mass overall is going to be anywhere from 7.9 to 9.8 pounds. The length, again, this is very dependent on the barrel length and the stock options. Typically, you're going to be anywhere, if the stock is folded, from the 25.8 inch mark all the way down to, there's even 19 inches available for some of the PDW versions. So you're looking from anywhere from 19.5 to 35 inches based on what type of barrel length you have, what kind of stock option you have, whether the stock is folded or not. It's a telescopic stock like we can see here. So there's so many different lengths for the weapon overall. The barrel length, typically you're going to see an 8.25, 10.5, 14.5, 16.5, or 18.5. Again, this is depending on Remington and Bushmaster. Different barrel length, different caliber conversions, things like that. The cartridges available for this Adaptive Combat Rifle we see at base are 5.56 NATO. We also see 7.62 by 39, which was a Magpul Masada prototype. That one was never actually put into production in any form. There's probably some aftermarket third-party barrels available somewhere out there, I would assume. 6.8 Remington SPC, which we have here in game. We have the 450 Bushmaster here in game, and here we go with the 300 AC Blackout Bushmaster ACR also here in game. So the conversion kits, or the conversion parts for this weapon in real life, are very hard to find. and they're also very expensive because Bushmaster came out with these kind of at the final 11th hour, essentially, after years and years of these being promised by Remington and never delivered. So Bushmaster stepped up and ended up delivering all of the caliber conversions for this weapon, which is funny because they weren't even the ones that were supposed to be doing that. It was supposed to be Remington, as designed and originally sold by Magpul as the Masada. So the action here is a gas-operated rotating bolt. It is kind of taking the best parts of a lot of different weapons here, like the AR-18. You have the short-stroke gas system for that weapon, which allows the foldable buttstock. You have kind of the best parts of the H&K G36, XM8 with the polymer components overall, FN Scar. A lot of different weapons is what Magpul looked at here to kind of design this thing as like an amalgamation of all the best weapons that were available at that particular period in time. You have the rate of fire being 650 to 700 rounds per minute. In real life, 300 Blackout conversion would not increase the rate of fire whatsoever. Muzzle velocity for the weapon is going to vary again based on the caliber. So for actually, it's really hard. We don't have the stats for the 300 Blackout version, but the 450 Bushmaster would be anywhere from 1,625 to 21.5 feet per second, where the 5.56 version would be 2,630 to 3,050. So it would probably be more comparable to a 450 Bushmaster, I would assume, but again, they're completely different rounds than the 5.56 or the 450 Bushmaster or the 6.8 SPC. Effective firing range typically is going to be around 500 meters to 600 meters. Feed system 30 round Stinag mag. You also have Magpul P mags available also, and then sights you have Magpul M-Bus integrated on the pick rail, as well as Picatinny rail for optical mounts. So really interesting weapon history here. We'll get into this more. I have an all ACR build video coming up at some point here, and as well as a base ACR type video where we'll get into a lot of different things here. So the ACR Adaptive Combat Rifle conversion kit for the ACR 300. Again, Remington was supposed to produce all of these different caliber conversions, and they never ever did. So you had the promise from Remington to produce all the other calibers that Magpul offered with the Masada. They never did it, so Bushmaster stepped up and made those available to the civilian market in the 5.56 NATO, the 6.8 Remington, 450 Bushmaster, and the 300 AAC Blackout, which we see all of those calibers here in game. So props to Sledgehammer for actually doing that. I think that's really cool that they included all that. And again, here in game, we have probably more of an ACR SBR short barrel rifle with a 10.5 to 12-inch barrel here with this particular barrel that we had. But you do have the options for the 16.5s that we showed also. So let me know your thoughts down below of the ACR 300 or the ACR Chamber 300 Blackout. Let me know your thoughts down below. All links, all that good stuff is down below in the description. If you guys are enjoying the content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, share, watch the ads. It's the best way to help out the channel and support. We do have the join button available if you would like to become a member, and merchandise should be launching here within this week. I'm assuming here after Thanksgiving. Should be good to go, and you guys will be able to get your hands on some t-shirts here coming up going into the holidays. So let me know your thoughts down below. ACR Chamber 300 Blackout. Till next time, this is Buckner Gaming, out.